Welcome to our meditation time. I invite you to settle in, whatever spot that you have chosen for yourself today. Just really get comfortable. Let the physical comfort of your body be a way to just arrive. First, arrive to the space where you are, and then allow yourself to arrive to the moment. And then as you are ready, you can close your eyes, you can just soften your gaze, whatever feels right. And without trying to change it, just notice your breath. Just notice how it's coming in and going out. Notice what it's telling you, what it's communicating. Oftentimes our breath is such a reflection of the busyness of our day, of the things that are weighing on our heart and our minds. It's also a reflection of the rest that we've given to ourselves. And so just notice the breath. See what it's telling you. And then in just a moment, we'll settle in and connect our breath together and just find a little bit of syncing up across these airwaves of just this beautiful collective of others who've shown up, seeking their way back to the present moment. But I just want to set the context for these few minutes that we have together. We are on a journey through the Yoga Sutras. Sutra, this beautiful word that gave us the word suture and thread in English. And there are these beautiful aphorisms, these threads that just weave together the whole story of what yoga is. And not yoga, the stuff on the mat, but yoga, the way that we live and we show up in the world. How we treat ourselves, how we treat others, how we deal with the struggles that we each encounter, how we start to understand our purpose, how we seek connection with something bigger than ourselves. All of those are part of this yoga path. And these sutras account for each of those things and so much more. And so today, just to give you some context, the sutra that we are sitting with is Yoga Sutra 124. So we're in this chapter of how everything has begun with the Yoga Sutras, this Samadhipada, this chapter on what is this enlightenment that we're all seeking. And it's a chapter that talks about the how and the what to be aware of. And so this beautiful verse of verse 24 tells us about this idea of purusha. It's a Sanskrit word that purusha, it means the pure consciousness within. It also talks about another Sanskrit word, Ishvara. Ishvara is this divine presence, and it looks different for each of us. Some of us ascribe names like God or Allah or Brahman when we think of the word Ishvara or God. Other people think about nature or Mother Earth, the cosmos. But the idea is there's something bigger than just us, these mere humans on this big planet Earth. There's something bigger than us. And it's also something connected to us. And that's what this yoga practice teaches us. This idea of Ishvara, this divinity, and Purusha, the pure consciousness of us, and how our aim in life really is to stay connected to both. But what tends to happen is we have all these layers that distracts from the divine presence, the divine force. It distracts from our purity of who we are in our soul. And so today I want us just to settle in and just really begin to strip those layers away, little by little, piece by piece. So let's take a slow, deep breath in together. Just really fill ourselves up right here. And then as you're ready, just sigh it out. A slow breath in. And a big sigh out. And then one more like that, just a big breath in. And then sigh it out once more. And then settle into a rhythm that feels good. And the image that I have for you, I've used it many times. It was actually taught to me again just very recently. It's this image of these Russian nesting dolls. We've all seen them. They're these beautiful dolls that are painted and so just beautiful, filled with colors, an authentic dress and symbols. But the interesting thing is there's this outer doll, and inside of her are many more. And so if you take this Russian nesting doll, just picture it, and you take the lid off, so you take off the top half, inside is another one. It looks similar. It's a smaller version of the one that we just pulled apart. And then we notice this little ridge that denotes that we can take her apart as well. And so we open up the lid, and inside is another. Again, she looks similar. There's a few little nuances and differences, but it's still the same. And we look at this little smaller version, and we see again this little ridge that says if you lift here, she'll come apart again. And so we open her up, and inside is another smaller version, but it's still the same face, the same features, just a few little unique nuances. And again, that same ridge. And we open her up, and inside there's one more. It's much smaller, still the same face, it's still the same doll. But again, just a few unique characteristics for this one. And this time we notice there's no ridge. We've made it all the way to the center. That little tiny version of that larger doll, that's Purusha. That is this pure consciousness within each one of us. It is the essence of your soul. And it never leaves. Nor, and here's the good news, nor does it lose its purity. And the reason for that is this other Sanskrit word of Ishvara, this divine presence that keeps that light just lit right in your soul. This light of goodness and compassion and peace and harmony. It is truly the essence, the core of each of us. But then we live our lives. We go along our path, we do all of our things, and what happens is that beautiful little tiny internal doll, that Purusha, we start to cover her up with a layer. We put her inside that doll and we close the top. We know she's still there, but we've lost sight just a little bit. And then we keep going on about our lives. We keep going along our path. And then all of a sudden we realize we've put her inside of another one. And we've closed the lid again. And we know that purity, that inner self is still there, but it seems a little further away now. And then we go along our lives and we come across challenges or difficult people or challenging things in society and in politics and across the globe. And all of a sudden we realize we've put her inside another one and we've closed the lid. And we seem to remember this essence of us inside, but we can't quite picture what it was. And we get stuck in those challenges, and we get stuck in those negative mindsets, and we get stuck in the social media and the things that we're bombarded with, and we realize we've closed her off with another layer. And we can't seem to remember our way back. But the beautiful thing about this Russian nesting doll analogy is they're never sealed shut. All we've got to do is make the choice, the intention, the conscious decision to begin to take the layers away again. Little by little, opening up one and getting closer and closer back to the core. And for some of us, we do that many times during life. We ebb and we flow through challenges, through quiet, still times. And there are times that we understand the essence of Purusha. We know the pure consciousness of us. We feel the goodness inside. We feel the light that Ishvara shines on that pure heart. And then there are times that we seem to remember that there was some talk about this inner light, but we haven't seen it for a while. There's just too many layers covering it up. And so I would challenge each of us, wherever you are along that continuum today, it's the same story. All you got to do is open up one layer, and then another, and then another. It's always accessible. We just have to remember to take that first step of finding our way back. And so I would ask each of us, when was the last time you truly felt this divine force within you? When was the last time you felt light? When was the last time that you could just feel the goodness and the compassion and the gentleness of your spirit in the way that you talk, in the way that you show up in the world, in the way that you interact and you move through all the places that you need to go? And maybe for some of us, it was today. For others, it was a while ago. And for others, maybe we can't ever remember when. But no matter where we are, again, it's just one step. Strip away one layer. And then another. And then another. And that beautiful pureness of our heart, our spirit, our soul, it's unchanging, it's unaltered, it is still there. You know, when I decided to name the studio, the bridge, it's named after this representation of that heart energy that we're talking about. And when you translate that heart energy, it actually means unstruck and unbroken. And so I wanted to create a space that represented that, a way for people to find a way back to the unstruck and unbroken parts of them. And so as we pause here just for this next little bit, just think to yourself, do I first off believe that it's there? That there's this unstruck, unbroken, unaltered part of me inside that is not affected by all of the stuff of this world that I've experienced? And if you're struggling with that belief, then maybe that's what you sit with for this moment of quiet. If you know that it is true and you believe that there is truly this unbroken part within, but you've lost your way, and you haven't seen it for a while because the world is so overwhelming, maybe you sit with this idea of stripping away one layer at a time to get back. And then if you are living in a spot where you see it, you feel not the muscle that's beating in your chest, but you feel the light, the radiance, the unbroken essence of you. Then as we grow quiet for this moment, you'll sit with that. Nurture it. See it. And so wherever you are on this journey, these moments are for you. Just a slow breath in and a full breath out, one gentle moment at a time. as we continue to breathe in and breathe out. I encourage us to realize that inner little Russian nesting doll, the tiniest one, the one that has no more inner parts, it is the inner part. That it is truly one moment, one breath away. We don't have to wade through all the muck and all the mire of life to get back to it. We close our eyes, we pause, we breathe, and there it is. We just have to be careful that once we get back into our activity of life, that we don't lose sight, that we don't keep putting it into layer after layer and covering it up. Each time that you catch a glimpse of that part of you, it becomes a little more real. And you're going to want to protect it. And I know for some, we first have to see it. We have to believe that it exists, that there really is this deep, unaltered goodness within us. But once you see it, and then you see it again, you'll want to protect it. And while the world is noisy and people are unkind, they won't get to that part of you. You will remain unstruck, unbroken, and you'll begin to move through life as if you know that you are. The word for that in Sanskrit is purusha. Whatever word gives you meaning, whatever image gives you hope, hold on to that. This beautiful, unaltered goodness within. Namaste.